This session is going to be hosted by myself. I'm Katy from KAM, and I'm going to introduce my company a little bit later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some highlights from some KAM research looking into the future of socialising differently, and what the UK consumer is thinking they're going to do with their leisure pound. I'm then going to sit down with an esteemed selection of guests, including Dan Rowntree, Selina and Grech-Smith. So I would just like for them to introduce themselves to you so that you know who the people are that I'm going to be talking to later. Matt, do you want to start us off? I can't see who's got the mic. Okay, yes.
Hi, I'm Grech-Smith. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Swingers, the crazy golf club, and we have venues in the UK and the US.
Hi, I'm Selina. I'm head of category for Heineken, and I've been working in the on-trade for around 2 years now.
I am Daniel Rowntree, the founder of pictures agency Hydra. We're just about to publish a report with KAM on the future of socialising. So this talk is made for me.
What changes are you seeing from a swingers point of view? And of course, you've also got America to compare to, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. So I think since the pandemic, we've seen kind of the shape of the week change quite considerably. Obviously, Friday used to be one of our biggest days of the week before the pandemic, but now with the way that people work from home, probably the most favoured days are Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. And so there's, if you walk around London, people will have seen it, there's not that many people in town on a Friday. And so that's really changed the shape of the week. And people have got good work from home setups, they're comfortable doing it, they've got all the equipment they need. So kind of if any reason comes up which might require people to work from home, let's say a train strike or something like that, then straight away people are very keen to work from home, obviously not get involved in the hurdles of the public transport system. But so when you see a train strike that runs, let's say, Wednesday through Sunday, you'll see people stay home Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but on Saturday they'll still make it into town. So when it's kind of looking for their own activities, people will jump in taxis and will manage to kind of navigate the transport hurdles. So yeah, it's been a lot to kind of readjust to, and there's just different inflection points. Thursday night is a really popular night of the week now, probably our second busiest. And yeah, in the US, kind of shades of that. I think the US market is a little bit more bullish. It varies from city to city. At the moment we're in DC and we're in New York. DC is a city which is full of government and charity employees, very unionised, a lot of people working for the federal government, and a lot of those people are working from home all the time. The government hasn't really pushed people back to work. So probably Washington DC, more than anywhere, we're seeing people working from home, and that's completely changed kind of corporate entertaining. So yeah, everywhere we go there's a different landscape that we're learning to negotiate.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to talk a little bit about footfall and how the industry can adapt and really fight this sort of problem that we've got with falling footfall. Selina, from a Heineken point of view, what can and what are suppliers doing to support operators with that development?
Yeah, I think that you touched on it, that we've got that massive issue with footfall dropping down, but you've got people spending money when they go out. So for what Heineken have been focused on when we're talking to our customers, it's more about making sure we're thinking about those specific outlets, the specific venues and what's important to them. So you're absolutely right when you're talking about what's happening in London and the challenge that we have around people not being in on the Friday, not being in on the Monday. But actually on the opposite side of that, what we're seeing is some of our wet-led customers, our more community, more rural customers, actually picking up more focus on those. So it's about, when we're thinking about how we drive footfall, being really targeted to what that outlet is, who they're attracting and what the opportunity is. So be it darts, be it watching sports, those type of things, be it talking about doing a quiz night on a Tuesday to drive footfall, as well as absolutely making sure that when people are really wanting to go for it at Swingers and when they want to do more experiential, that those opportunities are there and we're pushing that as well. I think, you talk about that map of footfall changing, but it's also looking at where those new opportunities are coming out and how we help our customers really focus on that. So we are seeing this peak now at lunchtimes on a Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday that we never saw before. So the MAP was always really pushed towards that Friday, Saturday focus, and we're seeing that late night dropping down as we talked about, but we're really seeing that push coming through from more of that sort of lunchtime occasion coming in. So brunches, those type of things, that cafe culture, thinking about how when we're talking to customers that we utilise that space better in outlets. How do you take a high street outlet that's empty during the day and look at how you use that space to attract a different consumer in? Those are the type of things and the conversations that I'm having with customers to look at how we make sure that we can continue to drive footfall when our consumers want to come in.
Okay. Matt, I just want to come back to you for a second, because that's kind of sparked a question for me for Matt, which is, how have you changed how you're approaching increasing footfall into swingers venues because of the current climate, or since the pandemic? Has anything changed for you? Is anything that does work, doesn't work?
I think we've had to get a lot more proactive with our corporate sales. Corporate sales are a big part of our business. So going and actively seeking out businesses to come and who are going to come and spend their money with us. And I think nowadays there's lots of businesses who aren't meeting up in the office in quite the same way that they were. So kind of getting in front of them and offering them solutions where they can meet up in these kind of attractive environments where they can brainstorm, have meetings, but then do fun activities together. That's been a big part of it. And yeah, I mean, just kind of recognising the patterns of when people are going out, the fact that we are going to be really busy on a Thursday night, we are going to be really busy on a Saturday, making sure we're geared up and we can give people the amazing experiences that you were talking about before, that people are going out a bit less frequently. When they go out, it's got to really matter. So you've just got to be firing all cylinders and give people an incredible all-round experience.
Thank you. And then, so Dan, coming over to you, talking about that brilliant all-round experience. Obviously, where you sit is in the sort of no alcohol space. That idea that that socialising doesn't now just revolve around booze. Although I've known you for 20 years, so I will say that this is a reason. No, I'm not joking. So tell me a little bit about the alcohol-free experience that we're offering at the moment. In your opinion, what you're seeing out there, and of course compared to America, what are we doing it well enough?
Well, look, I think we're in the second wave of moderation. I think it's no longer just okay to have an alcohol replacement in your bar. I do believe that a choice is really important, and I see that second wave of moderation to include functional beverages as well. I think consumers are looking for an alternative to booze actively, and yes, people want to go out and they want to socialise, but they want to have the same experience they did when they were drinking. So that means choice. That means leaning into kind of adaptogens, nootropics, and other things that could potentially come down the pipe. And we're seeing that now, and my kind of provocations, predictions for the next kind of 5 to 10 years will probably mirror what's happening in the US and other kind of more open markets. So I'll be really interested to see what Matt is seeing, in terms of kind of other mood-altering substances, etc., that are coming into play in the markets that you're operating in. Yeah,
I mean, interestingly, I think that in the US they're quite slow adopting the non-alcoholic and low-alcohol options. You can go to lots of bars and restaurants and ask for a non-alcoholic beer, and they will sometimes have Heineken Zero. That's the most popular choice. But sometimes they just look at you and they'll make you a cocktail without any spirits in. And then, yeah, obviously, marijuana is becoming much more prevalent as it becomes legalised across different states. It's much more of a kind of considered pastime now. Lots of people do it, they talk about it, it's very open. Haven't seen it start to come into venues yet in a big way, although I can see that, to your point, that consumer tastes are changing, and we might be at that tipping point.
I think last week I saw that there was a baseball game where the first THC seltzer was actually it's quite a big moment, and THC seltzer as its own category is a $1 billion category in the US, and it's only available in 23 states.
Right.
Actually, in a very kind of structured dispensary style fashion. So people are looking for that alternative buzz.
So what is the next alcohol alternative then? Talk us through, because I would imagine there are a lot of young faces in this audience, so I would imagine that there's a lot of people that are aware of the category, but for anybody that isn't, you know, what's out there at the moment and what do you think might be coming next?
I mean, it's functional. It's functional. It's about looking at what ingredients are out there that could potentially alter your mood. So at the moment we see CBD, we see functional mushrooms, we see nootropics and adaptogens. But the problem we've got, the challenge we've got as an industry is to understand the efficacy and the dosage and how that actually affects people. And I think there is some new technology coming out there in terms of nanotechnology to understand how these kind of substances get into the system a bit quicker and actually affect the mood will play out. So there are some brands that are blazing a trail, Sentia, Three Spirits are really helping kind of with that education, but I'm seeing other brands now that are being built D2C predominantly. Collider was up on the screen earlier, but Impossible Brew as well, and that's what's happening now, and this is driven by a consumer trend. So what we're looking to as High and Dry and the future of socialising is taking a look about what's happening now, bridging the gap between what is going to be happening in the next 10 years. So my big provocation is that by 2030 we will have a legalised recreational cannabis market in the UK. So what are we going to do about that? You know, and that's what the Future Socialising report is about, is trying to, I guess, equip businesses to capitalise on the opportunity and mitigate against the threat of what's potentially coming.
Thank you. I want to move us just on to sustainability. By the way, I'm going to come to you all for questions at the end, so if you've got any questions, stick your hand up when you're invited to. Can we talk about sustainability a little bit? Do you think that we're doing enough? And as Selina, I'll start with you from your point of view and from what Heineken are doing. Are we doing enough in our industry in sustainability?
I think there's lots of options out there for customers to get help with sustainability in the marketplace. So are we doing enough as a total industry? I think we're starting to really build that momentum with it, and I can see that growth coming through. So, you know, Heineken have our smart dispense system that works and sustainable in the background, as well as, you know, various different opportunities you can do through our Easel Club to get help with your waste management and be more sustainable than what's going to landfill. So there's loads of different bits and pieces that are happening in the background. I think from a sustainability point of view though, we need to be, again, thinking about the holistic view of what's coming through. So it's not just about where things are sourced from. It's not just about, you know, we know our consumers are looking at venues that are more sustainable as they go through. But again, it's actually, we talk about the cost of doing business as well. That sustainability and that value for money has to work together for the customer. So it's really thinking about those different processes that are there through making sure that the seller's as cool as it needs to be at the right time at the right moment. You know, really looking at how you save money on those bits. Have you got an energy efficient fridge? How is that working for you? All the way through to how much you're saving water, how does that waste management look in the background? And I think, you know, customers starting to talk a little bit more about that starts to push some of those sustainability messages out to the customers and the consumers.
And what about you then, Matt? What are Swingers doing in the sustainability side of things, and what do you think you could do a bit better?
Well, we're really lucky because we work with a whole load of partners, so we outsource our food to the likes of Patty and Bun, Pizza Pilgrims and Bredos Tacos, who all have kind of great records in what they're doing.
Pizza Pilgrims have just got their B Corp, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're kind of industry leaders in that respect. I would say it's really challenging to maintain and progress on sustainability at this time when margins have never been tighter and the squeeze has never been more difficult to manage. So, you know, are we doing enough? I'd say no one's probably ever doing quite enough. There's always more that we can do. We run a kind of a street food model, so we're really big at the moment and looking at our consumables and the amount of packaging and rubbish we throw away and how to make that, you know, more environmentally friendly, sustainable, all that sort of thing. But it is a massive tension when every single line item on your P&L is being squeezed like crazy. And sometimes being sustainable is more expensive, so just kind of trying to make the P&L add up is this kind of ongoing challenge.
Yeah, it's all very well and good saying to an operator, well, people will prefer to come to you if you're sustainable, but you've still got to find the money to do that in the first place. I would like to know what your predictions are for the future of socialising for the next 10 years. And I'm just going to start with you because you happen to make eye contact. Remember, you're not supposed to do that with the person that's chairing, otherwise you're always going to be first.
So I'm just going to talk from a competitive socialising perspective. When we opened Swingers, our first London location back in 2016, I think we were one of about 6 bar venues with activities in London. And we did an audit recently, and there's over 80 in London now. So, you know, there's been this clear demand, but there's clearly, you know, a huge influx into the market. And I think that market's going to sort of rationalise over the next couple of years, and the people that are executing really well will, you know, carry on and thrive, but there's probably going to be some kind of attrition. So I think, yeah, just the ongoing development of that market, people clearly want to get out there and do stuff, as you talked about with your data. But yeah, there's going to be probably a bit of a separation in the market where some of the less well-executed concepts fall away and others kind of thrive.
Yeah, and I think from competitive socialising, we've done a report on that as well. Again, that's on our Knowledge Hub. I think that it's important to understand that it's not just about the game, is it? It's about the food, it's about the drink, it's about the environment. You've still got to get those basics right, as well as providing an experience.
Completely. We say we are classic hospitality. We just have an extra hook that gets people in through the door.
Excellent. Thank you, Selina.
Yeah, I was just going to build on that. I think what we'll see in the next 10 years is that every outlet has to have that wider offering to the customer. It can't just be wet-led, it can't just be food-led, it can't just be that experiential gaming. You're going to see that real transition through to what's happening in your local community pub through to what's happening in that. And that will also include, as you say, the choice of what's available on the bar for those occasions. So being less booze-led, but being more experience-led, and that whole experience coming through.
Yeah, it is about that sort of holistic experience, isn't it? Like we said, booze is now not at the centre. It can still be part of everything. I'm not, you know, no one sat here predicting that there will be no alcohol in 10 years' time. Actually, not me. Because if there's no wine in my life, I'd be very upset. But it is changing. Dan, final word to you. What do you think is going to happen?
So a continued trend of moderation, the rise of functional beverages for sure, and like I said, by 2030 a legalised recreational cannabis market, and by 2035 I reckon we'll see dispensaries and cannabis clubs on our high streets.
Fabulous. Please join me in thanking my wonderful panel, Matt, Selina and Dan.